Hello, mixtresses and mixters. This is Mixtress Ray. You're watching Mixtress Video, and I'm doing the hashtag today, the VR. No one calls it a hashtag. Whatever. Tarot to the extremes. And it's all handwritten, so it'll say in the title who started it. I don't know who started it because I've only seen that Julie did it. And I thought this was just really fun, and I have spent the last 3 days like rearranging a third of my house. A third of the shit in my house. Okay, that's maybe an exaggeration. Maybe more like 20% of the shit in my house. But I'm exhausted, and I thought even though this is like one of those VR things that is just kind of like showing off your collection in a different way, I don't care. I'm going to do it because it sounds fun. So here we go. The first prompt is minimalist versus maximalist. Okay, hold on. I need to... Ooh, of course. I am off the floor now, guys. And I'm still bumping the tripod. Cool. Awesome. Well, I need to use a little clip to clip back the pages because they're threatening to fall over. Okay, minimalist versus maximalist. So my minimalist deck is Wild Unknown because I really think that it's, I mean, everybody's seen this, but it's simple. Before there was a guidebook, there was just this little fold out sheet. And I really learned to read this deck more intuitively than anything else. Having that problem again where like the ring light is like too far in between where the camera is. So I need to just hold it down here. But anyway, you've seen this deck. I find it to be pretty minimalist. I feel like there's a lot of space in this deck. I can find the answers by just meditating, you know, because it's pretty much just a nature-based deck, right? It's not forcing a point of view on, not that, I mean, some decks do, and I like that. It's not that I have something against a deck that has a very specific point of view, but I feel like this one doesn't have a specific point of view. And so that's my minimalist deck. My maximalist deck is Telesma, which I got back out recently, and I've been working with it again. And it's just a collage deck that has a lot happening in it, including fake boobs. It's just so good. It's just so good. I keep finding more and more in it, not only because it's maximalist, it's a collage deck with a lot of elements put into it. Not only, yeah, this is definitely one of my top 5 decks of all time. And very much, I would say, the opposite of Wild Unknown. Because it's very overstimulating. But, you know, it's a safe space to be overstimulated. For me, tarot is a safe space to be overstimulated. I'm okay with it. Okay, that's my minimalist versus maximalist. Set that aside, perhaps. It's probably gonna like fall off onto the floor, but whatever. Prompt number 2, daytime versus nighttime. This is possibly going to be like a weird choice, but my daytime deck is Cosmic Tribe. Because, okay, there's a lot of nudity in this deck. I don't know, people usually warn people. So there you go, penises. This deck is just like there is also a prompt in this hashtag that is light work versus shadow work. I decided that I was going to skip that particular question because it reminds me of a different question, but this one probably would have been my light work deck, kind of, because the vibes from this deck are just like pure whimsy and positivity and just happiness. I mean, look at that. It's, yeah. This is just, just party monster. But before it went dark, you know, this is like mid 80s club scene, not late 80s, early 90s when it started to go, you know what I mean? Or maybe more like late 90s club scene. It's just, it's positive and happy and all the good things. All the good things. So I would say that this is daytime. Although I definitely don't think of decks that way as being like something that you would work with during the day versus at night, but you know. So that's my daytime choice. My nighttime choice is a deck that is entirely set at night, which is Neon Moon. So this is and it does kind of pair, like thematically, it kind of makes sense with Cosmic Tribe, because Cosmic Tribe is like techno-pagan and Neon Moon is like after the apocalypse, the androids have taken over. Yeah, that's kind of what we're dealing with. And this is like an entirely well-built world, and it's very, very dark, very noir kind of. It's like cyberpunk noir, you know? It's so good. I got it out recently again for like 2 weeks. I've been spending a lot more time with decks this year, which is nice. It just kind of happened naturally that I'm more monogamous with my decks. Whereas before I've always just like used one deck at a time for the most part. And sometimes I would just like use a deck for like a day or two and then put it away. And then, but lately I've been using decks for like weeks at a time, and that's new for me. So that's my nighttime choice. Get a drink real quick. Hibiscus water, my favorite. Okay. Best shuffle versus worst shuffle. Well, my best shuffle is the exact same one as Julie's, which is Marigold Tarot. It just is. So here it is. Wonderful, beautiful, amazing deck. I love it so much. So much. And I can't lie, one of the reasons, and definitely far from the only reason, but one of the reasons why I love this fucking deck is because it shuffles so well. I recently rearranged my tarot space entirely, which is why this table is in here now. And I chose to take all of my tarot decks out of the room, because before I was just sitting next to the shelf with all of my tarot decks, and I decided in order to have enough room for this table in here, I would need to take out my tarot shelf. So, I mean, it's just in the other room, you know, it's 10 steps away, if that. But the only deck I chose to keep in here with me at all times, the only tarot deck, is Marigold Tarot, because it's my baby, truly. Okay, worst shuffle. We're going back to Telesma. So just to, I don't know why I tied this up, because I'm going to have to illustrate how bad the cardstock is now, so I have to take it back out. No offense, Tara, if you're watching. I have definitely made my peace with this cardstock, and it is not the worst cardstock I've ever used, for sure. But it's just, as far as like best shuffle versus worst shuffle, this is very hard for me to shuffle. I've made my peace with it. It doesn't have that terrible, like, super matte finish, at least. Like, the matte is a nice swishy matte, which I like. And it's a little thick, but the problem is that it's stiff is the biggest problem. So if Tara ever does come out with another version of this deck in, like, I don't know, like a linen, more flexible cardstock like this, I'll buy it. I'll pay full fucking price even. I'll do it because I love this deck so much. Truly. And that means I love it a lot if I can get past the fact that I can't shuffle it well. That's how much I love it. I can't even take it. It's my favorite deck this year. Okay, next prompt is confronting versus comforting. So my confronting deck is Ludi Luskett, because it truly is, like, as far as decks that I've actually chosen to keep, this one is the most confronting to me because of the hyper patriarchal world and the way that women just submit and acquiesce to men in this world. It's absolutely extremely confronting, and sometimes I can't even work with it. And it's one that, like, I have let go of and then got back again. So I'm happy to have it now, and I think it's a keeper because I've gotten to a point where I can work productively with it, but it's very confronting for me. And then my comforting deck is Halloween Tarot. This is currently my purse deck. I'm always switching them around, but this is the one that ends up in my purse the most often just because it's in this cute little 10. And it's a straight Halloween RWS clone, truly. And I love it all year round. And this is a good example of why this deck is comforting to me. This card just makes me so happy. It just makes me so happy. I just love it. It's so sweet and beautiful and cheesy and cheeky, and I'm here for all of it. Even the clown. You guys, I used to have an issue with clowns, but I've, like, gone past it. I don't know. I'm okay now. It's all right. I'm okay. I love it so much. It makes me happy. And mine is on, I mean, to my knowledge, US Games hasn't ever fucked up their 10 size cardstock. I don't know, guys. Let me know if you've gotten one recently, and they have. But it's still that nice, flexible US Games cardstock that they used to have. So that's my comforting deck. The next prompt, okay, I need another drink. God, I'm so fucking thirsty. The next prompt is every day versus every so often. So I had to pick marigold for my everyday because it's the one that I keep hanging on the wall right here. Now that I've rearranged my space, it is the only tarot deck that always lives in this room. Like, almost always there will be a second deck in here because it'll be like the deck that I'm working with this week. Actually, I'll go ahead and put this away right now because I am working with Telesma right now. So I'm going to put it in its little holder down there. So, like, my now playing deck is in this room, but then this one's always here, because this is one that, like, no matter what deck I'm working with at the time, if I need to consult Marigold, I consult Marigold. Like, usually I'm pretty monogamous with whatever deck I'm working with at that time, unless I completely put it away and trade it out for a different one. Or, like, there's an exception if, like, I'm doing a reading for a client, I will specifically pick a deck for that client. But this is one that, like, it doesn't matter what deck I'm working with, I will get this one out for 5 minutes if I need it and put it right back, you know? This is, she's definitely my everyday. And our bond only grows stronger. And then versus every so often. So my every so often, and I have a lot of decks that are every so often, but I chose to pick one that, you know, thematically pairs well with Marigold. So Santa Marte. I have had this deck for over 3 years now, and I have really bonded with it, but look at this Two of Cups. I have really bonded with it, but it took me a long time. It took me a long time to get to know it, and it was one of those decks where I could only get it out for really short periods of time, and then I felt this really strong feeling that, like, the deck didn't want to talk to me anymore, and I'd have to put it away. But we've gotten past that, and I don't necessarily feel that distance and rejection from this deck anymore, but I still don't get it out that often. It's definitely, like, a deck that, I don't know, like, the literal, like, thing to say would be I have to be in the right space for it, but what I instinctually want to say is that this deck demands to be respected. So it really you have to get it out for a good reason, kind of. I don't know. That's weird to say, but it does kind of feel that way to me. Like, this deck really does only come out for me like a handful of times a year, probably, but it still is important to me. And I don't think I'll ever let it go. And yeah, I love it. Okay, overrated. You guys probably already know. Thoth. Some people that I really, really love, Sylvain, Grace, others as well, love this deck. But I don't. And I'm keeping it because, like, it's historic, and I really like the cardstock of this particular edition, and Michael bought it for me as a gift for my last birthday, so I've had it for almost a year, and this deck kind of stalks me, to be honest. It really does. Because this is probably the 6th copy that's passed through my hands in my life in the last 20 years. I probably got my first Thoth Tarot deck like somewhere around 2001-ish, 2000-ish, 2002, somewhere around there. And I have attempted to work with it for 20 plus years now. I don't think we're going to work out, but as of now, I plan to keep it around anyway. So that's overrated. And I pretty much only say, like, the terms overrated and underrated for me are not really terms that I use, because to me, when someone says something is overrated, it just means that a lot of people like it and you personally don't get it. And underrated means no one else is talking about it, but you love it. That's all it means, I think. Like, it doesn't really matter how anyone rates anything. It just matters your personal relationship to a thing, you know? So overrated, and then underrated again is Marigold Tarot. Just because, you know, like, I have heard people start talking about it recently, but up until like the last few months, I was usually the one fucking bringing it up. People are, And I know that this is also part of, whenever you say something's underrated, it's a fallacy, right? Because other people do appreciate that thing, or else it wouldn't have consistently been in print for like 4 or 5 years now, or maybe even longer. I don't know when Marigold Tarot came out, actually, but because I didn't get a hold of it until 2019. But, I know it's not actually that no one knows about it. It's just I'm one of the more vocal people that talks about this deck all the fucking time on YouTube. That's all. So that's what I would say is my underrated. And I did skip the light work versus shadow work category just because to me, I feel like that's a similar question to the confronting versus comforting. Because I do not pick out decks based on shadow work versus light work, I guess. Like, I don't even think about light work. And if I'm trying to confront something, then it depends on what I'm trying to confront, right? I mean, if I'm trying to confront my issues with men, I will pick up Ludi Lusket. But I will also pick up Cosmic Tribe if I'm trying to confront my issues with men, because that deck shows them, a lot of them, and their penises. So it's confronting to me too, but I would definitely not call it, I don't know, maybe I would call it shadow. I don't know, whatever, it doesn't matter. So this was just to test my new setup. What do you guys think? It's kind of a weird angle, so I probably won't necessarily recreate this particular angle, and I'm still having issues with the lighting, but I feel like they're not as bad. Like, I feel like we're not getting as much ring light glare as we were getting before. I don't know. What do you guys think? Whatever. Yeah, I'm what can I talk about that is something other than just what we just talked about? I don't know. I'm very tired, so I'm not quite sure why I pressed record, except that I wanted to do this tag. So I don't know why I'm trying to stretch it out, because I'm in a closet with no air conditioning and it's almost 100 degrees outside, even though it's after 8 p.m. So yeah, I'm just gonna stop talking. But thank you guys for watching.